Hey everyone, welcome to English Pod, where we make learning English fun with friends. In this series, I'll break down keywords, slang, idioms, and cultural references from each episode to help you improve your English naturally. Watch before or after the episode to boost your understanding. Subscribe and turn on the notifications. Let's dive in.
Because, learning words from a list is one thing.
Oh, totally different. Seeing it in the scene, understanding the feeling behind it.
Yeah.
That's where it sticks.
Right. Like humiliation. Joey's feeling when he gets fired.
Yeah, humiliation. That's our first one. The example sentence we noted was, getting fired in front of everyone was pure humiliation.
And in the episode, it's not just that he lost the job, is it? It's the way it happened.
Exactly. It's public. It's in front of his peers, presumably. It's
Yeah.
that loss of face, that deep shame, more than just, being disappointed or sad. It's a real knock to his pride.
Yeah, you really feel it. Okay, then there's Aurora, Chandler's date, and the word nonchalant.
Ah, nonchalant.
Yeah.
Yeah, meaning sort of casual, unconcerned, almost like nothing phases you.
Like the example, he strolled into the interview acting completely nonchalant.
Right. But with Aurora, it's not just an attitude. It's central to her whole character and the conflict with Chandler, isn't it?
Totally. Her casualness about having multiple partners delivered so nonchalantly. That's what throws Chandler completely.
And that ties directly into the next word. Liberated.
How she's portrayed, yeah.
Liberated, meaning, free from typical social constraints or expectations. Our note was, she considered herself a liberated woman who lived by her own rules.
And the show presents her that way through her actions, her attitude. It's not just something she says.
No, definitely not. Especially for mid-90s TV. It feels quite deliberate.
Okay, shifting back to Joey. His feelings about the butt double job, the word objectify.
Objectify. Treating a person like an object, focusing only on usually their physical attributes.
Like the example about the ad campaign objectifying women.
Exactly. And for Joey, it's that feeling of being reduced. He's an actor. He wants to use craft, but suddenly he's just a butt.
Yeah, his talent, his aspirations, ignored, just valued for a body part.
Which leads perfectly into why he might feel the job is demeaning.
Right. Demeaning, causing a loss of dignity or respect.
Yeah. The example sentence. It was demeaning to be given such a low-level task.
And for Joey, who dreams of being a serious actor, this feels like a step backward, maybe, undermining his artistic integrity.
Totally. That internal conflict. Needing work versus wanting meaningful work. It's relatable.
Okay, back to Aurora's situation. The term polyamorous.
Polyamorous. That's key, isn't it? Having multiple romantic relationships at the same time, but crucially, with everyone knowing and consenting.
Right. It's not about cheating.
No, not at all. The example, they were in a polyamorous relationship and openly dated other people. It's about the ethical structure, the openness, which, again, for the 90s, quite ahead of its time in some ways for a mainstream sitcom.
And Chandler's struggle with this whole thing, that's where ambivalence comes in.
Yes, ambivalence. Having mixed feelings, conflicting emotions about something or someone.
Like a note. She felt ambivalence about leaving her hometown.
For Chandler, it's clear he really likes Aurora. He's drawn to her. But her lifestyle, the polyamory, just doesn't sit right with what he wants, which seems to be exclusivity.
Creates that internal tug of war, yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, what about the term butt double itself? That's a great example of a euphemism,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. A perfect euphemism. A milder, less direct word or phrase used instead of something possibly harsh or embarrassing.
Like saying passed away instead of died.
Exactly. Butt double sounds, it sounds funnier and maybe a bit less crude than saying, I'm playing Al Pacino's ass.
It definitely softens it, puts a bit of a gloss on it.
For sure.
And as Chandler gets deeper into this situation with Aurora, expressing his feelings, he becomes pretty vulnerable.
Vulnerable, open to being hurt, emotionally in this case.
The note says, he felt vulnerable after sharing so much about himself.
And that's Chandler, right? He puts his desire for something more out there, knowing she might just reject it because it doesn't fit her life. That takes guts. Makes him emotionally exposed.
Definitely. Okay, last vocabulary word. Thinking about Joey's actual acting, or overacting, in the shower scene. Pretentious.
Ah, pretentious. Trying to seem more important or cultured or talented than you are.
The example. He sounded pretentious when he quoted obscure philosophers.
Now, they don't explicitly call Joey pretentious in the scene, but the director's reaction, Joey's whole dramatic delivery.
Yeah.
It kind of implies his performance is seen as, well, maybe a bit much, trying too hard, out of place for just being a butt double.
Right. Artificial, not fitting the role. So, okay, just those 10 words alone,
Yeah.
they add so much depth to understanding what the characters are going through, their motivations, even in a comedy.
Absolutely. It elevates it from just watching jokes to understanding the dynamics. And it's not just the single words.
Right, you mentioned phrases and idioms too, the everyday stuff.
Exactly, which Friends is brilliant for. These are things you hear all the time.
Okay, let's get into those. Chandler's first reaction to Aurora dating other guys. So what's the big deal?
Classic phrase. So what's the big deal? Basically means, why is this important? Or why are you upset about this?
Like the example, so what's the big deal if you forgot your birthday?
Yeah. Chandler's maybe trying to convince himself or his friends that it's fine, trying to downplay it.
But he finds out pretty quickly, it's not that simple.
Yeah. It's not that simple. Meaning, the situation has hidden complexities or emotional weight.
The note was, I wish I could just leave, but it's not that simple.
And that's Chandler's problem. His feelings are getting involved. It's not just a casual thing for him anymore, so he can't just brush it off. It's messy.
Which leads him eventually to say, I can't handle this.
Yep, I can't handle this. Just outright stating you're overwhelmed, you can't cope.
Like the example. She said she couldn't handle the pressure of being in the spotlight.
It's Chandler hitting his limit. Recognizing that this situation, Aurora's way of life, is just too much for him emotionally. It's a moment of realization.
Okay, shifting back to Joey's job again. The arguments about whether it's a good gig or not. Someone inevitably says, you're missing the point.
Oh, definitely. You're missing the point. Meaning, you're not understanding the most important aspect of the argument or situation.
Note, I'm not saying you're wrong. You're just missing the point.
It perfectly captures those arguments, right? Some friends focus on money, some on the art, some on the dignity. Everyone's got a different point.
And Monica's take is pretty blunt, using that idiom. It's like, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Right. That's the way the cookie crumbles. It's an idiom for acceptance, often of something unfortunate you can't change. Resignation.
Example, we lost the deal, but hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Monica's kind of saying, look, this is showbiz. It's tough. Sometimes you take weird jobs. That's just how it is. A bit cynical, maybe.
Yeah, maybe pragmatic. Then Joey tries to justify it himself, using in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, yes. In the grand scheme of things. Looking at the bigger picture, the overall perspective.
Like, in the grand scheme of things, one bad day doesn't really matter.
Joey's trying to frame this potentially embarrassing job as just, a tiny step on his path to stardom, making it seem less significant, or maybe even necessary, finding meaning.
Okay, back to Chandler. Given Aurora's approach, you could argue she might be, perhaps unintentionally, leading someone on.
That phrase, lead someone on. Making someone believe you're romantically interested when you're not, or not as much as they are.
The example, she didn't mean to lead him on, she just enjoyed his company.
And with Aurora, it's tricky. She's honest about the other guys, right?
Yeah.
But she keeps seeing Chandler, knowing he's developing deeper feelings. So from his perspective, it could definitely feel like being led on, even if that's not her explicit intention.
It's ambiguous. And what's the advice Chandler gets? Pretty much, suck it up.
Yeah. Suck it up. Very informal. Tell someone to just accept something unpleasant and stop complaining.
I know it's tough, but you'll have to suck it up and apologize.
The friends are basically saying, if you want to be with her, these are her terms. Deal with it. Not very sympathetic.
Not really. But ultimately, Chandler realizes he needs to walk away from something.
Yes. Walk away from something. To leave or abandon a situation, usually a difficult or painful one.
The note. He finally decided to walk away from the toxic relationship. Maybe not toxic here, but definitely not right for him.
Exactly. It's his decision point. Realizing this isn't making him happy, it doesn't fit his needs, so he has to end it for his own well-being.
And even just telling Aurora how he felt, asking for more. That was him going out on a limb, wasn't it?
Totally. Go out on a limb, taking a risk, putting yourself in a vulnerable position, often by saying something unpopular or difficult.
Like the example. She went out on a limb by asking for that raise.
By telling Aurora he wanted exclusivity, Chandler risked her saying no, risked ending the relationship right there. He put himself out there emotionally. That was the risk.
So wow, just looking at this one episode.
Yeah.
Vocabulary, phrases. It really shows how much you can learn by paying attention to context.
Absolutely. It's not about row memorization. It's about seeing the language used, how it feels, what it achieves in a conversation.
It's like a shortcut, almost, to understanding those deeper levels of English communication.
I think so. It makes the language come alive. Yeah, there's some really interesting stuff there.
Okay, let's dive right into the culture side first. One of the big things, obviously, is Joey getting super excited about being Al Pacino's, well, his butt double.
Right.
And Al Pacino, I mean, for anyone maybe not familiar, he's not just some actor, he's huge.
The legend, yeah. Scarface, the Godfather.
That's a woman.
Iconic roles.
So Joey's reaction, it says so much about Pacino's status, but also like that whole Hollywood dream thing in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Even being sort of near fame felt like making it.
Yeah, like a brush with greatness, even if it's, well, his backside.
Exactly. And just dropping Pacino's name, it immediately gives the whole situation this comedic weight. It's not just any gig.
It's Pacino's butt.
It tells you about the pecking order in Hollywood, even through a side character's hopes.
And then there's that line Joey says, it's not a line, it's a look.
Ah.
Our sources are pointing towards that maybe being a little nod to The Godfather.
Makes sense. Pacino's known for those intense, silent expressions in those films.
Totally. That stare, so that line from Joey, it adds this extra layer if you get the reference. It's like an inside joke.
It's cultural shorthand, isn't it? The writers count on the audience having that shared knowledge.
Right.
And the fact that The Godfather was already such a huge cultural thing by the mid-90s, well, that says a lot too.
Definitely. Okay, moving on, we've got Aurora. And her, let's call it her dating philosophy. Seeing multiple guys.
Yeah, that was pretty unconventional for mainstream TV then.
Right. The sources highlight that. Polyamory wasn't really a common topic on big network sitcom in the 90s.
No, not at all.
So showing it, even if, it's partly for laughs with Chandler's reaction,
Yeah.
it maybe hints at changing ideas about relationships.
Could be. Especially in a setting like New York City, it's a reflection perhaps of some shifts happening, or at least being talked about.
Or maybe just presenting a different kind of lifestyle.
It definitely introduces the concept, even if it doesn't fully endorse it. It makes you wonder how media like Friends might have subtly opened doors to different perspectives on relationships,
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Then there's that little throwaway line from Monica,
Mm-hmm.
teasing Joey about being in a little play about a man with a spaceship.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like a funny poke at, like, fringe theater, or those low-budget sci-fi things actors sometimes do.
Totally. It grounds it a bit. Shows the less glamorous side of trying to make it as an actor.
The struggle is real kind of vibe.
Exactly. It acknowledges the hustle, the weird jobs you take. It's relatable if you know anything about the arts.
For sure. And one last cultural bit.
Yeah.
Chandler's line, when he's clearly falling for Aurora.
Which one?
She's got the keys to your apartment.
Yeah. That's loaded.
The sources point out that giving someone keys in American dating, that's a pretty big step.
Huge. It signals trust, intimacy.
Right, moving towards something more serious.
Yeah.
So Chandler saying that, it just highlights how vulnerable he is.
Definitely. And how much more invested he is than she is.
And that vulnerability, that kind of male emotional exploration, was actually quite a theme in 90s sitcoms, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Showing guys having feelings, basically. And that line, it uses this everyday action giving keys, but packs it with all this unspoken cultural meaning about commitment.
It's really efficient storytelling.
Spot on.
Okay, so that's a good look at the cultural side. But the sources also pointed out something else kind of cool.
The grammar.
Yeah. This episode is like an accidental English lesson. Let's switch gears to that. First up, present continuous tense.
Okay.
The example is Aurora's situation. She's seeing other people. Why is that tense important here?
Well, present continuous, that's the I there plus verbing form. We use it for actions happening around now or ongoing situations.
Right.
So she's seeing other people doesn't mean she's literally looking at them right that second.
No, it means dating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It refers to her ongoing romantic involvement with others. It's a state that exists around the present moment. And using that phrase, it almost subtly normalizes the idea a bit in that context.
Interesting. Okay, next. Modal verbs. Like in the advice to Chandler, you should be flattered. What's should doing there?
Should is a modal verb we use for giving advice or saying what's like the appropriate or expected thing to do or feel.
So it's suggesting how he ought to react.
Yeah, it's like saying the socially expected or reasonable response here is flattery. A gentle suggestion.
Got it. Then there are causative verbs
Yeah,
like let,
yeah.
make, have. The example was, she let me keep my toys. How does let work grammatically?
Let here means allowed or permitted. The pattern is let plus person plus base verb.
So she let me keep.
Exactly. She's the one giving permission, I'm the one receiving it, and keep is the action allowed. It clarifies who enables the action.
Makes sense. Okay, conditionals.
Uh.
Type 2. The line was, if I were brave enough, I'd break up with her.
The hypothetical.
Yeah. What's the grammar behind that?
Okay, so type 2 conditionals talk about unreal or hypothetical situations in the present or future. The structure is if plus past simple.
Like, if I were, even though it's I.
Right, using were for I signals it's hypothetical, not real. Then the result clause is would plus base verb, so I would break up.
So it means he's not brave enough and he's not breaking up with her.
Precisely. It's contrary to the current reality.
Cool. What about reflexive pronouns? Like in, I got myself all psyched up, what's myself doing?
Myself is reflexive here because the subject, I, is doing the action too.
What?
Well, himself. The subject and object are the same. It basically reflects the action back. And often, like here, it adds a bit of emphasis. He put in the effort to get himself ready.
Right, he did it to himself. Gotcha. And basic question formation. Example, did you see the show?
Simple past questions. Standard structure. Auxiliary verb did, plus subject you, plus base form of the main verb. See?
Not did you saw.
Nope, always the base form after did. It's fundamental for asking about the past.
Good reminder.
Yeah.
And phrasal verbs. The episode uses things like break up and psyched up. Why are these important?
Oh, hugely important for sounding natural. Phrasal verbs, verb plus a preposition or adverb, they create new meanings.
Yeah, break means one thing, up means another. But break up.
But means end a relationship. And psyched up means excited or mentally prepared. They're everywhere in conversation. You really need to know them.
Definitely adds fluency. Okay, last one. Direct and indirect speech. Joey's line again. It's not a line, it's a look. How do we report that?
So, in indirect speech, you'd typically say something like, Joey says that it's not a line, it's a look.
You add that.
Often, yes. And if you were reporting it later using a past tense reporting verb like said, the tense inside might shift back. Joey said that it was not a line.
Right, the tense shift.
It just shows how we relay what someone else said without quoting them directly.
So wrapping this up, it's actually pretty amazing, isn't it? How much you can unpack from just one, 22-minute episode of Friends.
It really is.
The one with the butt gives us this little window into 90s culture dating Hollywood dreams and kind of sneakily a bunch of useful English grammar points, too.
Absolutely.
Season 1, Episode 6. The One with the Butt. Joey gets his big break, sort of. He lands a movie role, but it's not quite the leading part he hoped for. Instead, he's hired as Al Pacino's but double in a shower scene. Joey's excitement turns to embarrassment when he takes the role a little too seriously, leading to his dismissal. Meanwhile, Chandler starts dating a woman named Aurora, who is beautiful, worldly, and already married, with a boyfriend on the side. Surprisingly, Chandler is fine with the arrangement at first, enjoying the drama-free setup. But when she adds yet another lover to the mix, he starts to feel like just another guy in the rotation and ends things. Phoebe helps Monica realize she's too controlling when it comes to her new boyfriend, which leads Monica to try to relax a bit, though it's clearly a challenge for her. The episode explores themes of self-worth, unconventional relationships, and setting personal boundaries, all while delivering plenty of laughs.
Thanks for watching. I hope this lesson helped you learn something new and made your friends' experience even more fun. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with your fellow English learners. Subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new episode breakdown. See you in the next one.